Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Today we're going to talk about the two paths to spiritual power. And I'm not talking about left-hand path, right-hand path, because those two things, in my opinion, are, at least what people have made them to be, is pretty powerless, right? So I guess to really start this off, I guess I'll kind of give a brief summary of what left-hand path and right-hand path is, because people still have that question. Essentially, to make it very simple, left-hand path versus right-hand path equals down to, the left-hand path deals with self-deification, right? I am God. And at the end of the path, you realize that God is me. Right-hand path deals with external deification, right? You worship God, right? At the end of that path, you realize that I am God. So both paths lead to the same place. It's just a different way of expressing the absorption of the information, right? Two different ways of absorbing information. Two paths that lead to the same place. Everything that is in this world of duality, everything in the world of mind, really, is best summed up in dualistic terms, because they both point at each other, right? According to the law of Hermetics and the law of polarity, both extremes is an illusion, right? Because it's all one thing. They're just different degrees of either thing. For example, hot and cold, the absolutes, as we put it, are an illusion, right? The truth is temperature, just different degrees of hotness or coldness, because it depends on the person, right? When I help my son take a bath, he prefers the water to be extra cold, right? I can't stand that. I have to have it a little bit warm, and he can't stand that. So when I touch the water, he says that it's warm, but I say it's cold. It's a matter of opinion. So it's not a real concept. It's a descriptive pointer. The truth is water. The truth is temperature. The illusion is hot or cold. Same with left and right. Left-hand path, right-hand path. They're both extremes. They're not real things, per se. They're a pointer. They point a direction. They're a compass. But there is no left-hand path or right-hand path. You're somewhere in the middle, right? You approach it with self-deification on the left-hand path. But at the end of the day, you realize that there is a God. It's just me. And likewise on the right-hand path, you use external deification to realize that you are God. So anyways, that out of the way. Start with a story, small story. When I was really young, and the only real spiritual text I knew was the Bible, I used to get a little bit obsessed with the book of Revelation. And I always had this idea that one day I would be involved with the apocalypse, right? The imagery of these angels towering over the earth and affecting mankind from afar, from unreachable, untouchable places at the direction of God. These demons coming up out of the earth, attacking people in some strange War of the Worlds type of movie, Mars Attacks type shit. Independence Day, there we go. Hellraiser, I used to love all that imagery in Revelation. How this grand cosmic story, right? That was more fascinating than anything else in the Bible. It was so fascinating, that this was the one text and story that all the elders and all the people in my community believed in. So this was really the most exciting spiritual thing that I knew. And I just hoped, wished, and dreamed, and just knew that one day I'd be a part of it, Whether it was one of the angels that poured one of the vials or opened one of the scrolls, or even one of the demons that opened up the pit that would have thousands of locusts that would consume 2/3 of nature. It didn't matter. I just wanted a piece of it. So fast forward to now, as I've actually gotten a lot of study and experience under my belt, and I come to see that not only the Bible is metaphorical, but definitely that book in particular is extremely metaphysical, extremely symbolic, extremely metaphorical, right? Each one of those symbols meant something. Each one of the numbers meant something. The 7 seals, the 7 churches, clearly talking about the 7 chakras, right? New heaven and new earth. The 4 horsemen, how can I forget that? And those definitely represent the 4 cardinal points, the 4 cardinal energies, right? They align with the planets. The red horseman going to war, right? That's Mars. The one with death, I believe, was Pluto. Yeah, you can look it up for yourself. The 4 horsemen correlate with 4 planets and 4 astrological signs. But anyways, the fact that I wanted to be a part of that, it got me excited. And then as I got older, I learned that there's actually a logical way of understanding it, that it's a metaphor, that it's a symbol. It's meant to make you think about certain things, and it's meant to describe certain energies that were to come into play. This is how the Magus of Persia, the old Magi, the 3 wise men that came to visit Christ, this is how these ancient people could predict the future, because it was written in the stars, right? The symbol of these stars is a symbol of energies that are to take place. It's like predicting the weather, except this would be more accurate, because existence, reality, the earth, and all this is governed by numbers. It's governed by vibration. It's governed by predictable patterns if you know where to look. And the ancients used the planets in the sky as this giant calculator, this giant calendar that helped them to deduce what was going to happen when. And yes, I know that the 3 wise men were a metaphor for the 3 stars in Orion's belt, which point to Sirius, right? Which represented Mary, Isis Mary, right? Sirius is the same thing as Auset, which is the same thing as Mary, mother of Christ, who's also the same thing as Horus. All these religions, all these mystery systems, all these belief systems are based on astrology. Astrology is extremely important. It's more than just, what a Gemini is going to experience today. Oh, you're going to fall in love, or you're going to have extreme emotional outbursts, or whatever. It's more than that. It's deeper than that. It is actually a science, a predictable science. If you don't believe me, go get the book called The Secret Relationship of Birthdays. Look at your date. Look at all your friends' dates. Show everyone, as many people as you can. I have not found one person yet who's told me it was incorrect. Not even a little piece of it. It's a science. There's only 366 combinations of personalities that can exist on this planet. That's it. Anything beyond that would take a lot of mastery and a lot of removal of ego. But let's get to the point here. When it comes to these 2 different paths of achieving spiritual power, I'm reminded of what's going on. I'm reminded of what I read often in Basic Magic and the Magician. He talks about the Hermetic path versus the Orphic path, right? One of them, the Hermetic path, deals with a certain set of laws, immutable laws and rules that can't be broken. Now, they can be transmuted by applying one to the other, but these are 7 laws that govern the entire universe, that govern how everything runs. These 7 laws are so impactful and powerful that even God himself has to obey these laws, right? This is an opinion. This isn't something that you got to stretch your mind to believe. As above, so below, right? Correspondence, vibration, gender, right? All these different things can't be broken. They can be tampered with by applying different laws against each other. For example, gender, as we see that now. Polarity. But these are laws. It's more logical. Now, on the other hand, we've got the Orphic path. And that deals a lot with emotion, a lot with feeling, a lot with experience. It's very sensual, right? It doesn't really take logic and fact to follow this path. It just takes directing your energy intentionally, right? It's more emotional based. So here we go. I get a lot of emails about, hey, what demon should I use? Hey, what book should I read to summon demons? I guess because the demonic subject is so popular, right? Well, like I just said in my story, me being a Christian, I was so excited about the book of Revelations because of all these spirits. I wanted to experience something magical. I wanted to be a part of something powerful, right? And I understand you probably do too, right? If you wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't want to experience that type of thing. And if you have already, you want more, I'm sure. But I get a lot of questions about what demon to use, what book to use. In particular, one guy's messaging me, he's like, oh, I've got 72 Angels of Magic, I've got Magical Cash book, I've got this, that, and the third. What's a good book for working with demons? Now, my first impulse was to react with, oh, get Demons of Magic. Since you've got all these other Gallery of Magic books, might as well finish the collection, right? And then I started to think, I get so many questions about this. I have 2 ways to respond, and I've tried both ways on different people just to experiment and see what works best. I can either burst their bubble, or I can help them keep their bubble afloat. They're both going to lead to the same place. The Orphic path and the Hermetic path both lead to the same place. Now, what do I mean by burst his bubble? By working with the Goetia for so long, what I've learned is, don't get me wrong, these spirits do exist to a degree, in a degree, but their existence is beyond the comprehension of most people. What do I mean by that? There's no way for you to really grasp what the fuck Yahweh is, Asmodai is, Sitri is, Payman is, Jesus is. There's no way for our human minds to fully grasp what these things actually represent. That's the whole fucking reason we use symbol to represent the energy, because it's very difficult to truly perceive. So the only way for our simple minds to perceive it is through a symbol. We know that the subconscious mind is the generator of our reality. Furthermore, the subconscious mind is a symbol-based operating system, right? So we have to use symbols to really break through to it. The subconscious mind is the powerhouse of our reality. Everything happens through production of the subconscious mind. And everything that I talk about are different ways of activating the power within your subconscious mind. So by working with these 72 Goetic spirits for the past 2-3 years, I've learned that at the end of the day, all the results that I've ever gotten were a result of impacting my subconscious mind. In other words, all the powers of these spirits has always been me. It's always been my power. Now, not me, John Travis, right? Not this black dude in Georgia, because this is even a symbol. This is an avatar. My personality is a sigil. It's an avatar. It's not an actual concrete thing. All of my ideas and my thoughts and my beliefs and my preferences, all these things are temporary and they will fade away. When this body dies, so will all these ego concepts die. But there's something that's deeper than that. There's something that exists in such a place that cannot be touched. There's something that exists outside the cycles of time. And this higher self is what I identify with. And as you work more diligently and passionately with your magic, you too will start to identify with your higher self and realize how, yes, this is an illusion, and how furthermore, all right, so what do I mean by bursting the bubble? All right, so just like there's two paths, neither one is right or neither one is wrong. Like I said with the law of polarity, there's both extremes, but extremes are not real. It's all degrees in between the extremes. There's not a hard red, right? There's degrees of red, there's shades of red, 50 shades of gray, but it's all gray. Left-hand path, right-hand path. Fuck those names. There's just experience. So, burst his bubble, which spirit to work with. I could, on one extreme, tell him that demons don't exist, it's just your subconscious mind, right? But the problem we face there is, well, shit, how do I impact my subconscious mind to make this work? This one path with its own set of difficulties to overcome. The other path deals with me saying, yeah, demons are real. This is the demon you should work with, right? When you do your ritual, this is going to happen. And you're going to experience this, right? That is going to work for him as well. But it comes with its own set of problems. Namely, most people that follow that path fall into the trap of worshiping these demons. When they reach the end of that road, instead of realizing that they are God and they are the power, they start deifying these external things and they get stuck in that cycle. Humanity is all about cycles, right? And the more that you transcend these cycles, the more that you become a God. Deific, your higher self, because your higher self is boundless. He's born-less, right? He's the unmanifest, right? He hasn't manifested. When you exist in the world of manifestation, you have to undergo certain cycles. You have to be trapped and locked within cycles. That's the sacrifice you have to make to exist here. As your higher self, you being a star, you being this holy light, you have to give pieces of that up as you descend into the underworld. Just like the legend of Inanna from the Sumerian myth, from the Necronomicon. As she descended into the underworld, she had to give up pieces of her divinity at every step, to the point where she was beset on all sides by demons and torn apart, right? And they had to revive her, collect all her magical jewelry, and bring her back up, resurrect her from the dead. It is the Christ story before Christ, right? And she was female. But that doesn't really matter much. That's more symbolic. It's not that women are better or men are better. When you hear masculine and feminine principles in spirituality, these are representations of the type of energy, whether it's receptive or it is giving, whether it's electric or magnetic. We got to get out of the ego stuff. We got to get out of the human stuff, because we're dealing with spirituality, right? Oh, I'm a goddess. I'm so powerful because I am a female. No. You're powerful because you embody a certain type of energy. So learn and master that and get out of ego, get out of yourself. Anyways, here's the thing. You got people who are still under the spell of Hollywood, right? They see these movies, they see these demons and these spirits, and they want a piece of that action. The same way that I was enticed and entranced by the book of Revelation. I wanted a piece of that action, right? People want to sit in a dark room with spooky music and have the candles burning, and they want to hear deep voices gurgling in the shadows and shit flying off the shelves. People want to experience that because it's exciting. It's stimulating, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to learn how to use it. Understand what you're doing here. When you're going down that path of believing that these external entities are an actual thing, what you're doing is you're exciting yourself. You're building up energy and emotion, right? So go through the ritual. Believe that they're real if you want to. Do that, right? When you're sitting down and you're summoning King Baal, right? You can envision his voice. You can feel his energy. You can actually see him there and believe that he's there. That's totally fine, because all that energy and emotion that you're building up, you're able to direct it towards that entity and have it use it on your behalf. You're going to get results that way if that's your power, if that's your strength, if you're that type of magus. Please do it. There's nothing wrong with it, right? My only advice is, as you further go down this path, start to look for yourself in that path, right? Start to understand that, maybe I have something to do with these things, right? Maybe these shadows are just reflections of my own mind. Because here's the thing. As I said, the subconscious mind is the generator of your reality. The subconscious mind is the thing that produces the results. It's not like you can just turn your conscious mind around and say, hey, subconscious mind, do this, and it does it. No. It has safe-keeping gates in the way, right, that prevent you from doing it, right? It has a bodyguard. It has a cock block. You can't penetrate it. So you have to be clever. You have to go around it. You have to implant things in a systematic way. I always say that the three main ways to do that are through repetition, are through symbols, and through trauma, right? Some type of emotional spike, emotional impact. Those are the three main ways that you impact the subconscious mind to perform on your behalf on purpose. So when you're working with these entities and you're believing that these demons are real, right? What you're doing is you're using a symbol, right? You're giving this symbol your total faith and confidence that it's going to get the job done. And because you're taking the responsibility off of yourself and you're believing that something else out there is doing it, you're giving it full strength and full power to perform at its peak capacity, right? I know plenty of people who believe that the Archangel Michael is the most powerful force, right? That Metatron is this most powerful, mightiest angel that nothing can stop. So if they're ever in trouble or in a bind, they call him the sacred name of Metatron or Michael, and it always comes through for them. Because what's going on is that Metatron and Michael is actually a symbol for you to put your full confidence in. So when things do get shady or don't work out, you can call on your own energy from the subconscious mind through the symbol or the deific mask of Metatron or Michael. That path is totally fine and valid. Now the other path is the path of the hermeticist, whatever. The path of the hermetics, where you understand that the subconscious mind is the power, is the all. The all is mind. The universe is mental. That those 7 laws are what actually governs all these things, right? And I can tell them, hey, what you're actually doing, bro, is using your subconscious mind because you're impacting it with the symbol. But the problem there is you start to believe that spirits are not real, that extra-dimensional entities aren't real. You shouldn't fall down that path because the law of Hermetics talks about polarity and degrees, that there is life above this life and life above the life that's above us, and the cycle continues. There are extra-dimensional entities that move us around like chess pieces, right? I've been interacting with quite a few of them lately. It's been a long time to experience an entity that is actually quite terrifying, mind you. But anyways, down that path of logic and reason, right, down that path of what should be common sense, using these 7 Hermetic principles, you start to apply practical methods of your magic. And this is why I always recommend Basic Magic, the Magickian, and the Kabbalion, Initiation to Hermetics, because these books really talk about the practical ways of accessing the same power, right? The Initiation to Hermetics will slowly teach you how to gain psychic ability, because it's a step-by-step practical method of using your imagination to stimulate your subconscious mind. If you want to know how to do psychic shit, take your time and read Initiation to Hermetics. Take your time and read Initiation to Hermetics and follow the processes and the practices, and don't move on until you're ready. That's the warning the book gives. Don't go to the next step until you mastered the first. If you actually do that, you will be able to eventually come into contact with your higher self. For me, it probably took about 1.5 years, right? And I have achieved contact. And I am receiving downloads that are way too much to write down or capture, right? I really have to get it in the moment or else I lose it. But this is achievable by anyone who's serious about this thing. So at the end of the day, to wrap this up, what I'm saying is decide which path works best for you, right? You're one type of person or another. In the Magus Academy, we have people who are on both sides, and we discuss, right? We talk about our methods, and we find light in each other's perspective. There's one lady who is more skeptical, right? But she's still looking and understanding that, yes, there are possibilities that I don't understand, and I'm open to learn. And there are people who are still very much, demons are real, spirits are real. You got to respect the spirits, and that's valid too. Whatever works, whatever works. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. Chaos magic. But yeah, choose which one works best for you, right? I told myself for decades that I was going to be involved with the apocalypse. I didn't know back then that the apocalypse actually meant the unveiling, the revealing, the uncovering. Lo and behold, doing that exact same thing, right? And I have worked with many of these spirits. So, with that being said, continue uncovering the layers that you are trapped within. Continue uncovering these cycles that keep us bound to this physical body, right? You've got this animal body, this beast that has to have its needs met. Then around that beast, you have a cloud of thoughts and feelings and opinions and emotions and, you know, all these things, like I said earlier, that are temporary. And these things perish. They pass away, right? They pass away. If you identify with the body, you're afraid of death, right? If you identify with the ego and the personality, you're afraid of death. You don't want your precious thoughts to go to waste. You don't want your precious memories to disappear. You don't want all the relationships and the things that you've done, right? The achievements that you've made or the failures that you haven't made up yet. You're afraid. You cling to those things. You cling to these things which don't exist. And so since you identify with these things that don't exist, you don't exist either. This is why it's extremely important to get to know your soul, to get to know what lies behind the body and the mind. You got to understand what lies behind your thoughts, what lies behind what you think is you. A lot of people even identify themselves by the clothes they wear and the jewelry and the items that they have. How invisible, how dead, right? These things break and perish, and then what are you? What happens when you're not making the money that you're making? What are you? What happens if you're not able to dress that way? What are you? You got people that are so concerned about whether everyone else considers if they're male or female. Who the fuck cares what anyone else thinks about your experience? You decide, you stick with it, and you keep living. But it's past all that petty human physical stuff. Like, all this is going to deteriorate and die. That's a fact. So why not identify with something that's deeper than all that? And you can find that out. It just takes diligent effort and looking within. You're not going to find it outside. You're not going to find it in a YouTube video. You're really not going to find it in any of these books. But these books and my videos and other videos can help point you in the direction where you will find that soul. So I really can talk for a lot longer than this, but this is a good time to wrap this up because I got some more reading to do myself. I'm going back over the Kabbalion and basic magic and Magickian all at the same time. Wonderful information. I suggest you do the same. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Love spending time with you guys, communicating with you guys. Please comment as usual. I try to respond to everybody as soon as I can. Follow me on Instagram. If you're interested in our video chat face-to-face mastermind group that we have every week, every Thursday, click the link below. It's called the Magus Academy. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. And as always, peace.